You're listening to the Mindful Mama podcast, episode 95. Carla and I solve all your holiday problems. Welcome to the Mindful Mama podcast. Here, it's about becoming a less irritable, more joyful parent. At Mindful Mama, we know that you cannot give what you do not have. And when you are thriving, when you have calm and peace within, then you can give it to your children. I'm your host, as always, Hunter Clarke-FIELDS, Mindful Mama Mentor. I coach overstressed moms on how to cultivate self-awareness in their daily lives and to take family and life to a new level of peace and cooperation. I've been practicing yoga and mindfulness for over 20 years. I'm the creator of the Mindful Parenting course, and I'm the mom of two girls ages 7 and 10. Thank you so much for being here today. This is another episode with my dear friend, Carla Naumburg, and we are going to talk about how to take care of the holidays, and there's a lot of wonderful things we cover in this episode. This will be an episode where you'll want to either take notes or make sure you head back over to mindfulmamapodcast.com to get the links, because we are going to share with you how to focus on what's important, how to deal with family stress, but we also have tons of gift ideas, good stuff for your kids, and great ideas for giving with kids, and great ideas for traveling with kids. There's a bunch of apps and podcasts and resources that we share. So this is a podcast chock full of resources and there's some of them are so hilarious. I can't wait till you get to the end where we talk about a really hilarious bingo game for how to take care of some family stress and have a sense of perspective about some family stress. You are going to laugh out loud. Before we dive in, I just want to let you know that I am taking calls for people who are interested in coaching. And right now, my coaching practice is full. We will be taking calls for coaching in the new year. If you are interested in one-on-one coaching, which means you won't just want the accountability, you want the support, you want the guidance that you need to get from a place of maybe irritable, maybe frustrated, maybe knowing where you want to go, but not quite being able to make it there on your own, you can apply for a clarity call. You and I will get to hop on the phone for half an hour, get to hear your challenges. If you have that clarity call now in December, you can lock in the 2017 coaching prices. And all of that is under mindfulmamamentor.com under the Work With Me tab. There you can click through to find the link about one-on-one coaching. And I'm also right now taking applications for group coaching as well. And so this is for people who want a step more of personal attention than maybe the Mindful Parenting course. What we do in the group is we come together for 4 months, and we come together in a really small group of 6 women. It's women who really want to do the work, are ready to make a change, and know that without that joy and that peace and that foundation at home, that's what really matters. And they're ready to take that time and invest their time and energy into making that really happen. And it's really exciting what happens. You can go to mindfulmamamentor.com/group coaching and hear the stories of people who have gone through the program and see the transformations that have happened. It's really, really exciting. I am taking applications for that now. So anyway, that's what's going on. I invite you to go to mindfulmamamentor.com, check it out under the Work With Me tab. And now on to this episode. I'm psyched to have you back, as always, my dear friend. Carla, do you want to tell everyone who you are?
Sure. My name is Carla Naumburg, and I am a Hunter Clarke-FIELDS devotee. And I'm also, I'm a social worker. I do parent coaching. I've written a couple books about parenting mindfulness, and I'm currently writing my 3rd book, which is called How to Stop Losing Your Shit with Your Kids. And I'm super excited about it. It's going to be published by Workman in another year or two. And I'm a, mindfulness practitioner, and I love coming on and talking to Hunter.
Yay. Carla, man, thanks to you and your notebook, I'm going to have to label every single one explicit.
Oh, no! Wait, no, I'm sorry. I'm so explicit. I'm really explicit.
Okay.
So from now on, we'll do a different title. I'll make up a new title just for you.
All right, that sounds good. So I'm so psyched that you're here. And as it is December here, if you're listening in real time, if you are listening into the future, hello. What's it like in the future? Do we have, droids in our houses yet? Anyway.
No.
Actually, it's funny because we're going to talk about the holidays, is that my daughter, my 10-year-old daughter just brought me her Christmas list this morning, and she put on it programmable droid. So it goes like lip gloss, walkie-talkies, programmable droid.
That's terrifying. That's terrifying.
We live in the future, Carla. They're asking for programmable droids.
No, I'm giving my kids a Tonka truck. That's it. No, I don't know what I'm giving them, but it's not a droid.
So we're going to talk about the holidays today, and we're going to talk about some different things about the holidays, including maybe how to stay mindful, how to focus on what's important, how to kind of deal with some stress over the holidays, and maybe even some ideas, gift ideas, and ideas to make the holidays special and less stressful for sure. And I definitely want to include some ideas if you happen to be traveling, some podcasts for kids. So this is kind of what's coming up. And Carla and I have just, we haven't been making huge notes on this, but I know that you have thoughts on the holidays. And also what's cool, Carla, is that we come from different perspectives. I come from a kind of a secular, yet we celebrate Christmas perspective. And you come from a Jewish perspective, so we bring our whole different perspectives to the holidays. Traditionally, is it a really stressful time for you, or is this something that you get into and you really dig?
So I love Hanukkah. It's one of my favorite of the Jewish and secular holidays. But absolutely, it can get stressful because, we still, in my extended family, we have people who celebrate Christmas and Hanukkah and all that stuff. And so there is a lot of questions about like giving presents and who are we getting presents to and where's the travel and who are we going to see and who are we going to not see and what am I going to, how much time am I spending with my kids over the break and do I need to scramble and find a couple of days of, winter camp so I can get some work done. So absolutely there's stress. And the one thing I do want to say to listeners is that I think that, part of the stress of the holidays can be for sure around all the buying and shopping and decorating and making sure everything's just perfect. And part of it can also be when we get so sucked into, I just want it to be so meaningful and sacred and special, that we can actually create additional stress for ourselves by just trying so hard. And so when you are listening to our conversation, if you notice in yourself that you're starting to feel stressed out by the things we're suggesting, because it just feels like more to do or more to create, please let that go. Like, don't get sucked into that too, because what we really want to do in this conversation is offer you suggestions to decrease your stress. And so if you notice that for some reason, something you read online about how to have more mindful holidays or whatever it is, or something you hear today is causing you stress, then that just means it's not the right advice for you. And there's other great advice for how you can really try to find some joy and connection these holidays instead of, getting more stressed out.
Absolutely. Yes, that's great advice. So just take what, works for you and take what doesn't. But I think that is a great place to start, really, is the idea of simplifying. And I really liked this idea that I just got from, there's a, very simple on parents.com, an article about 10 steps to a less stressful holiday. And their first idea, which I think was really cool, was to ask for your family's input, to like actually sit down and call a family meeting and say, what, they make the suggestion to list 3 have everyone list their 3 favorite holiday activities, maybe reading around the fireplace or making cookies or whatever it is, and then ask for 3 things they could do without. And I thought, this is such a good idea. Like, ask them, everyone in your family, to consider, what you would like to skip. And I think that's just even the idea of opening up the door to that is a really smart idea. And also it's smart to kind of bring your kids into the conversation, to also even suggest to them that it's, even just having that conversation with our kids, suggest to them that, it's not all more is better. And in fact, for us to enjoy and take in and enjoy some of the things that we do, we need to have space around some of those things. So it's not just like boom, 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 like kind of like the big pile of toys. How much do you enjoy the one in the middle? In order to really take in the things and enjoy some of the things, we need to kind of balance them with some downtime and some things that we can do without. What did you think about this suggestion, Carla?
I really like the idea of, well, there's 2 pieces of it that I really like. One is the idea of having this intentional conversation. And it may be that if you have a parenting partner or spouse, you might want to have the conversation with them first before you bring it to your kids. And the idea is just to get really clear about, like, what are your values for the holidays? And for some folks, it may be, you know what, I save up all year long because for me, having a really abundant, like, gift-giving experience actually is something I value tremendously, because we don't give gifts the rest of the year, or because it's just like whatever. The point is, there's no judgment on what works for you and your family, what matters. But what I would love is for all of us, and my family included, to be a little more intentional about, like, what does bring us joy. And is it finding ways to spend some more time outside? Is it finding ways to just sit and, like, have no planned time? Or is this actually the time of year when we do once a year go to see the Nutcracker or whatever it is, but just having some intentionality behind it. And the flip side of that, which this article does touch on, is letting it be okay to let go of traditions that don't work for you or your family anymore. And I realize that this can get very tricky with extended family. And there may be times when you say, we don't really love Aunt Bertha's Christmas party, but it means so much to her that we're willing to go because our relationship matters and we care about Aunt Bertha. But there may be other traditions that you've been doing because you've just been doing them. And it really is okay to reconsider those and decide, do we want to do this again this year? Or do we want to start a new family tradition? So, I love this idea of really being thoughtful about what have we done in the past and has it actually worked for us? And if not, what can we create instead? I love that.
Is there anything you've reconsidered? Because we certainly have at our house, and one of the things that I've reconsidered because I knew it would completely be me is the idea of Christmas cards. And actually, it's something I've never done, which is I've just never sent Christmas cards because I just find it's like there's enough going on, and it's such a busy full month for me. But what I do is I kind of thought, well, when I decided not to start Christmas cards, I thought maybe I'll send a Valentine's Day card every year, which totally failed, and I didn't do that. But I do reach out and write to people. Now and then I do have stationery and just reach out and connect with people now and then in writing. But it's not something we do Christmas cards, which I know a lot of people love, and it's no judgment. It's like I love getting them, but it's just something that we chose not to do just for our sanity and just to take something off the to-do list. So is there anything like that for you that you've reconsidered as far as a holiday tradition?
Yeah, and I actually reconsidered it in a way that I think most people aren't expecting. So when the girls were little, I was super hung up on, I'm not going to buy them a lot of toys. We're going to really focus on experiences and books and things they need, like a new jacket or something. And I realized after a couple of years of that A, I was like really stressing myself out about it. And B, I remembered when I was a kid that really some of the joy of the holiday was getting just great toys that I really wanted to play with. And so over the past couple of years, so we have, all the different nights of Hanukkah, and the girls get one present each night. And sometimes it's a present from their grandparents, and sometimes it's a present from their aunt or whoever it is. but there are a few nights my husband and I cover. And so sometimes it is like an experience. We're going to go somewhere, but really there are like at least 3 nights when they just get a straight up commercial awesome toy. Like this year we're getting them some new Lego sets because they really love Legos. And they love little plastic figurines, from various movies or shows, and they make little scenes with them. And whether it's Playmobil or Disney princesses or whatever, they just love them. They get so much fun playing with them. And so I'm just like, you know what? I'm not stressing about buying them these straight up cheap commercial toys because they use them and they love them. And so for me, just freeing myself from this stress about, oh, I talk about mindful parenting and therefore I must only get them organic wooden blocks and blah, blah, blah. Like enough already. Like here's a set of Disney princesses, go play. And they do. So really releasing myself from that piece of stress was kind of an evolution in my parenting that's made it honestly more fun. And they're so psyched. Kids love it and it makes them happy. So I think my approach to the gift giving is a little more balanced now than it was.
I love that because you're giving permission to all the mindful mamas listening to this who are giving, who have that sort of should story in their heads, like it should be this way and it should look this way and that kind of thing. And I should be, making sure, whatever, everything is just so. And you're giving people permission to say, you know what, it's okay for me to do this. And they're having a blast. Your kids are having a blast and that's really fun. Yeah,
totally.
I totally
and
remember.
About and I was going to say about the Christmas cards, like good for you. So we do send out New Year's cards because we don't celebrate Christmas in our house. We send out New Year's cards. Yeah, and it's fun for me because I love taking a lot of pictures, and so I just do a little card with the pictures. But it's money. It costs us money, and every year it's sort of a reconsideration of whether or not we're going to do it. And I think people should consider Christmas cards completely optional. And, I have a lot of friends who send us a holiday email and it's got pictures of their family and it's got a little bit of text and you just write it once. It's free. You send it out. And I love that just as much. So I think that, all 3 of those, doing nothing, sending an email, sending cards, or what you do, just sending some handwritten letters. I think people should feel completely free to pick whatever they want.
Absolutely. And yeah, that's exactly the thing is give yourself permission to choose what's going to feel best for you and what's not, is this going to add stress to your life or is this going to add more joy to your life? And that should be the consideration. Is it going to add more stress and more joy? And so you touched a little on the gifts and how fun it was. And I completely remember getting my Cabbage Patch Kid and being so psyched, even though it was the generic one. I was completely noticed that. But anyway, I really, the gifts I think is something that's really exciting and it's kind of fun. Part of it. It's funny because I have in my life certainly had judgment about the gifts and kind of that too much, and there can be too much and it can be kind of overwhelming, and especially if you have little kids, oh my gosh, the stuff that just flows into your house. And it is really helpful to sort of to simplify, I think, our kids' kind of toy landscape ultimately. But it is really fun to consider that. So let's consider some of the ideas that maybe you have and I have for my kids. And I know that one of the things that's been kind of floating around in the zeitgeist recently in the last couple of years that I thought, oh, this is kind of helpful, is there was a little rhyme. It's what is it? It's something they want, something they need, something and something to read. Yeah, something to wear and something to read. Yeah. Which I think that's kind of a cool guide, should you need some help simplifying your, impulses, something they want, something they need, something to wear and something to read. For us, my daughters read so fast. We do like to give them something to read, but sometimes, at least with my oldest, she will read a book in less than a day. So it's such a fleeting kind of thing that we really encourage her to just use the library. But we're definitely going to be considering, maybe some Legos because we really see how much joy they get out of those. And again and again, and again in so many ways. And one of the things I've been considering as far as for the kids is thinking about the idea of like experiences, as well as one of the things that I'm kind of considering this year is the idea that this is sort of a new thing, is this idea of these subscription boxes, right? Like they're the thing that I guess
Yes.
I've been considering is this idea of a Tinker Crate. And because I know my kids would probably get a lot of joy over that, over a lot of time. And I know they really like the magazine subscriptions that have been sent to them. National Geographic Kids, they really love, and they've really enjoyed that a lot. But then again, it is fun to open things on Christmas or on Hanukkah or on whatever, you're celebrating, solstice maybe. What are you thinking about for your kids, and what's been successful, as far as making it an exciting and special experience for your kids?
Yeah, I love all those ideas. I think the subscription boxes are really fun. And I also love magazine subscriptions. I mean, they still make highlights. Can we remember highlights with like the awesome where you had to search in the picture to find everything? And then there were the two brothers, and one of them was like Goofus and Gallant.
Goofus and Gallant. Yes.
Remember Goofus? Yes. So
Yes.
they still make highlights, and it's still awesome. I think my sister is actually getting my daughters like a sticker box subscription, where every month they're going to get a new sticker box. And if you go, I just found this morning, I was looking at this. If you go to mysubscriptionaddiction.com, I'm not affiliated with this website. I just found it this morning, but they actually have a list of a ton of different subscription boxes for kids by age. So it's called mysubscriptionaddiction.com. So you can see all the options. We also do, like I said, experiences, and that can be a trip to a show, a trip to the movies. If you have a kid who's really into a specific, museum, or, I mean, I know the aquarium in Boston, for example, is fantastic, but it's really expensive. And so, that could be the exciting thing that you do with your kids, is take them to, some event or something, or somewhere that they might not normally get to go. I'm trying to think. We also often will use this time to give them a gift that is sort of about a developmental leap they're ready to make, that we wouldn't do the rest of the year. So my third grader is starting to use a computer in the classroom at school, and my second grader is very interested in this. And apparently, I don't really know that much about this, but there are these computers that are designed for kids to actually like put together and then use. And my husband says we can like set it up so it'll connect to the TV. So it will really be a family experience, and they can use some of the like apps they use at school. Like they're using apps to learn like coding, and they use apps for math, and they use apps for Hebrew, and like educational apps. So this is something we're going to explore. The one thing I would encourage parents to think about is, if something is not a thing in your house yet, do you want to make it a thing? So for example, my husband got one of those, I'm going to sound like a little old lady now, that Amazon thing or the Google thing that you put on the counter and you talk to it and it talks back to you.
Oh, Alexa. We have that like in the house too.
So my husband bought one and he brought it home, and I was like, oh no, it's still in the box. And he thought I was concerned about somehow people spying on us. And I was like, no, my life is not that interesting. People are more than welcome to spy. My concern is that all of a sudden there's this thing in the house that I have to manage. Like I have to tell the girls, no, you can't say that to Alexa, or can you please stop asking her to play the same Taylor Swift song over and over again, or whatever it is. And like, there's enough things, that I don't need to introduce a new something that I have to manage with the kids. So as you are thinking about the holiday gifts, it's like, do you really want to manage that remote control car with your kid? If you think your kid can be fine with it and it'll be fun, that's great. But if not, then maybe don't get it. And so just try to think about, is this going to be a thing that's going to bring you joy, or is this going to be a thing that will potentially be a great point of contention? And I'm a little worried about that with this computer, but I think the benefits of being able to have this as something that the kids can make and then use in a really open way with the TV set, I think they're ready for it. So that's something to think about too. I think just remember that kids can get into really little things too. Like I remember just thinking it was fun to get a new notebook and a 4-color pen, like doesn't have to be a huge thing, or a new lip gloss, or some cool socks, I mean, really, so it doesn't have to be like a huge thing that you overthink.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. By the way, speaking of time home with the kids, there's a fun thing that my kids discovered with Alexa, with the like Amazon, I guess it's Amazon. I don't know, whatever, you know, robot that's listening to your every word in the house. Sometimes we say a certain thing and it's like, hello, what do you need? And we're like, what is going on? Anyway, and in fact, Alexa can be weird. So we have Alexa hooked up to our Spotify, right? The Spotify music service. And so Alexa can play music from Spotify. And this was hilarious because I teach some public yoga classes, and I use Spotify to play a playlist for my public yoga classes. And so I'm in this yoga class that I was teaching on this, and it's playing this like lovely yoga music from my yoga playlist. And then all of a sudden it changes to Despacito.
Oh no.
Just, like, started playing like Despacito, and I was like, what is going on? And it was like, because it was kind of hooked up to Bill's phone, it was starting to play this like in my yoga class, and everybody's like, what is playing Despacito? It was totally weird. Okay, but I'm digressing. If you have bored kids at home with Alexa, Alexa will do this thing where they're like, I forget what they said, there's something like tell me a story, but Alexa will do this kind of choose your own adventure thing. So what my girls have done, like I've seen them, they're like lying on the living room floor in front of the wood stove, and they pull up a blanket and they're like, and they, Alexa, let's go. And Alexa's like, we are going to over the field to the sound of the, scary ghost. Do you want to go towards the ghost or do you want to go away? It's kind of like this weird choose your own adventure storytelling thing that Alexa just does. So anyway, heads up, guys, you can use that. And one thing while you were talking about gifts, one thing that you can do that I really like and enjoy doing is homemade gifts can be really fun to do and make with your kids at the holidays. And the thing that we're doing this year that I realize is so brilliant now, because now everybody does it, is we're making a family coloring book. So everybody in the family, so it's super easy because everybody in the family just does a drawing, and you outline your drawing in black pen, and then you just get it printed at Staples or something, and you can get it printed and bound super easily. And so we've been doing these drawings, and there's some from my 7-year-old, some from my 10-year-old, one from my husband, and we're going to do a few more and just get them printed and bound. And we realize that even the adults are coloring these days, so we're going to give the adults our Clarke-Fields coloring book as well.
Oh my gosh, that's the greatest thing I've ever heard of. I've never even thought of that, and I love it.
Isn't that a fun idea? Yeah, and it's fun. Like we've been having fun doing it. And another thing that's really fun, I'm going to give away my secret for my gifts for all my friends that I like to give. And I don't feel pressured that I have to give my friends a gift, but what I like to do is I get those tiny little mason jars, and I make like a peppermint sugar scrub. And it's super easy. You buy that at wherever, but you can make it. You just mix sugar and just the cheap granulated sugar, and then almond oil. You can buy big things of almond oil at Whole Foods or different places, and then you put a few drops of peppermint essential oil in it. And you just mix it up, and then it's this body sugar scrub. It's super easy. It's fun.
Okay, so for all of you adorable people out there who are into making like body scrubs, you rock. I will not do this, but so I want to offer another option for friends. Let's start by getting gifts for friends. I have a favorite website where I would like to buy every single thing on the website. There is an artist named Emily McDowell, just like it sounds. And if you go to emilymcdowell.com, she makes gift cards and mugs and tote bags and keychains and pins, and some of them are fairly profane. She uses the F word and the S word, but they're deeply compassionate and hilarious and lovely and real. And so I just spent like way more money than I meant to on this website buying cards and mugs and presents. And like, for example, she's got this one card that just says, please let me be the first person to punch. Please let me be the first to punch the next person who tells you everything happens for a reason. Like, just hilarious. And then like one that says, she's got a line of parenting cards that I just think are so real and so funny, and again, deeply compassionate. Like, you know, she's got one where it shows this whole stack of different parenting books, like how to parent your kids. And then underneath it just says, you're not alone, hang in there. Like, these really, they're funny, they're hilarious. So my favorite place to get gifts for my mom friends is emilymcdowell.com. And I would really encourage people to go there because they're funny and sweet and cute and hilarious.
They're great.
So,
I just popped over and checked them out. I just this
and you can feel good about buying from a woman-owned shop that's independently owned. And I don't know Emily, like, again, I don't get any kickback from this. I'm just a huge fan of her work.
Hey, that's super cool. I love that. That's cool. Yeah. So cool. So we've talked about some gifts, you know, experiences and different things. One of the other things I wanted to touch on was the idea of donating, you know, with your kids. And so this is something that we do as a family every year. And, you know, and obviously this depends on your time and your budget and all these different things. But I always had this like idea, is like, we're going to be like I really had this aspiration to kind of like be at the soup kitchen with my kids, and just how it never happened, you know, like it's just kind of hard. Yeah. It was hard for me to arrange that. And then they were little and it was just hard for me to kind of make that aspiration a reality. Maybe we can move towards it. But one of the things that we do is, you know, my husband and I, we donate to Doctors Without Borders kind of regularly. That's kind of our way of donating. We really feel like that makes a good difference. But we want our kids to know that that's something that's, you know, in their life, and that they can be doing, and just a way to impart our values around giving back. And so what we do is we happen to give them each $50 to choose. They choose a place to donate this money around in December. So they've chosen, the one where you can buy a sheep. Gosh, I'm totally forgetting.
Heifer International.
Yeah, Heifer International.
It's a great program.
Oh, it's wonderful. They've chosen things for like women to women. They've chosen things that help girls around the world, and it's very easy to Google like great places for kids to donate or different things like that, or Google great places to donate. Those are some of the ones we've done. And what we've done is we've kind of looked and said, okay, here are like 4 places that we think might be good places, and we let them go through the process of choosing and looking, so it's their choice to give to someone. And then they donate in their name. So that's something that I feel really good about. That's been a nice tradition in our family.
So I love all of those, and I have a couple more to add. One is if you want to give your kids a chance to choose sort of who the money is going to go to, there are many ways to do microloans, where you're essentially lending relatively small amounts of money to entrepreneurs around the world, many of them in developing countries. And a great place to do this is through Kiva, Kiva. And when you go to kiva.org, you can literally like go through and say, I want to go to this part of the country and I want to donate to this woman. And it will show you a picture of a woman. I tend to donate to women and it's like, she would use this money to help to finance this like small neighborhood grocery store she's trying to open, or to pay for the cows that she's going to use to, you know, sell milk or whatever. And then over time, the women pay you back the money, and then you get the money back and you can lend it to somebody else.
That's so cool.
It's a tradition you can start in December, and then, you know, a few months later, all of a sudden you get this email that says your Kiva loan has been repaid, and then you can use it to, again, support another entrepreneur somewhere in the world. So I think it's a lovely way to think about, you know, people all over the world and how we can stay connected to them and support them. So Kiva is one opportunity. I also love the idea of using the holidays not only as a time to maybe do sort of a one-off volunteering, if you can go, you know, to a food pantry or soup kitchen or something and do some work there, but also to set up some way of making charitable giving a part of your life all year. And, you know, many religious traditions have something, whether it's tithing or in Judaism we refer to tzedakah, of, giving money. And so one of the things that finally, after like 2 years of saying I was going to do it, I finally did it, was we used a system that Ron Lever talks about in his really great book, which is called The Opposite of Spoiled. It's a lovely book for parents to talk about how to really talk to your kids about money. And he suggests that you set up like 3 containers for your kids. One is for money to spend, one is for money to save, and one is for money to share or to give away. And so every week my kids get an allowance of $3. And by every week, I mean whenever I can remember to actually do it. And we got these like clear containers, and they put $1 in each container so they can see them growing. And the spend money, they can spend whenever they want. And the save money, the idea is we're going to save up for something big, although we haven't really figured out what that is yet. And so we need to look at the share money and figure out where they're going to donate it. And one of the things that I believe Ron Lever talks about is the idea of picking a local charity where your kids can literally put the money in an envelope and you can drive there and hand it to them. And so that the child can actually see, as opposed to this very abstract, like, okay, we clicked a button on the internet and money went somewhere, I don't really know. Like, they can have the experience of actually holding the money, going to a place, seeing that there's a person on the other end. So here in Massachusetts, I'd like to think about Cradles to Crayons, because my daughters deeply know how much they care about like having toys, right? And so I think we can go to the warehouse. We might even be able to volunteer there. This is something I need to research to help organize toys. But I want them, I want them to pick a charity they want to support, and I want them to pick something local so that we can drive. So we'll have to check in and see if I actually get it done. But we're building up to it. So we do have these 3 clear containers on the counter for each girl. And every week when we put the money in, they can see the dollar bills start to add up, which, as Ron Lever points out, makes it much more sort of concrete and real for them than just putting the money in like a checking account, which we will get to, but it doesn't feel as real.
That's so cool. I love that. I love that idea of making it local. You're gonna have me looking for local places this year. That's so cool, Carla. I love that. So cool. So good. So we've talked about giving with kids. We've talked about gift ideas. So some of the things we wanted to, while we're kind of on these listing kind of ideas, and then let's get to then let's maybe wrap up with some ideas of how to deal with family stress and focusing on what's important.
Sure.
But one thing I wanted to share for sure is if you are traveling, which we will be driving to, New England and back. And actually, Carla, we're going to be in Boston one night. I need to tell you about that. Anyway, one of the things that we do on our trips is we do podcasts for the kids, and we kind of load them up in the car, and and then we listen to them, and we like podcasts, and obviously we're making one, and we like some for the kids. And so I have 3 to share that I think are really fun for kids. And 2 are a little bit more like kind of like bombastic, boo-ah, kid stuff, but it's still pretty great. And one is Wow in the World, which is wonderful. It's all this science stuff, and it's really great.
Love Wow in the World. Yep.
Love it. And the other one is that's really cool is Story Pirates. And Story Pirates,
I don't know that one.
Story Pirates, my daughter discovered this. Story Pirates is neat because what they do is they enact, kids write in from like elementary school age kids write in with their stories. And then this team of like radio actors like act out the stories and make songs out of them.
That sounds either like horrible or amazing.
Okay, so like the first season they definitely got better. Like this, I would start with the second season because it's really, really good. And like, it's this hilarious story of like, there's this hilarious story of a carrot on Mars and it wants to be eaten. Like, it's just great, but it's like it's actually really well done. And it's fun to listen to. And my girls love it. And then finally, the last one that I really, really love, which is definitely much more on the crunchy side and is more kind of soothing and calming, but my kids love it for so long, is Sparkle Stories. And Sparkle Stories, and again, I'm not affiliated with them, but they have a free podcast, but they also have a subscription service of, where you have access to just tons and tons of stories. And they have stories that are specifically designed for long car rides. They have healing stories. They have like fairy stories. And my girls love these stories of Martin and Sylvia stories, which are wonderful. And it was so funny because I really think of the idea that, the media that we take in is really nourishing the way we think and et cetera.
Yeah.
And I really like this. I want the media to kind of be, I love the idea of having a sort of good influences and good examples. And so in Sparkle Stories, Martin and Sylvia, like the first one I ever listened to, Martin and Sylvia are like this they're in this homeschooling family, and they come downstairs from their loft bedroom and they eat this breakfast of like an omelet with like some green beans in it. I'm like, oh my God, my kids would never eat green beans for breakfast. And I love that, like, they're hearing that.
Green beans in an omelet? Oh, come on. Who puts green beans in an omelet? That's weird.
I think the green beans are on the side. But anyway, like, I just love the idea, like, that their minds could be completely blown open by the possibility that kids would eat some like vegetables for breakfast, you know. And
okay,
it's all,
fine,
like,
but
they do maple sugaring, and you know, it's really, really
that's
like
adorable.
sort of beautiful, and it's nice, and they're really kind of, you would like. I think
I love it.
They're fun for adults to listen to too, actually. So
I'm gonna check it out. So
okay.
I have one more podcast suggestion. And then let's see, I have actually a couple of apps that are useful. So in addition to Wow in the World, there's also a relatively new stories podcast for kids called Circle Round. And it's from WBUR, which is my local NPR affiliate. And it's like international folky stories that are very sweet. And my kids like that one. So there's Circle Round. And then we actually use the Hoopla app, HOOPLA. And you can download free books and audiobooks through your library membership.
Ooh.
And we don't download the books because my kids don't read books on screens yet, but you can definitely download like free audiobooks. And so that works well if you don't want to pay for them, for sure. The other thing is that my kids have actually gotten into, occasionally they really like listening to just brief guided meditations on like Headspace or Insight Timer. Both of those are starting to have more kids like content. So I don't know like how those tend to be shorter, so they may or may not work for, you know, longer car rides, but it's just something to think about. So those are some things we do on long car trips. We also just play a lot of music, which the kids really seem to like. I had forgotten how much we can sort of enjoy playing music. If there's a really long book that you think your kids would totally be into, you can get it off audible.com, but those, you definitely have to pay for those. So sometimes it's worth it. If I'm downloading a book for them that I know is going to be like 9 or 10 hours of reading and I think would actually hold their attention, I will get it off Audible. But otherwise, for the shorter stuff, it's really not worth paying for.
Oh, yeah. We did that when we were in the midst of that epic Harry Potter reading. And I knew everybody would enjoy that for sure. And another few other quick things that we like is I actually finally there's a bunch of, you know, the old classic, the license plate game. Like we actually downloaded, you know, I actually printed out, you know, color license plate sheets, which are super, you know, you just Google license plate bingo.
That's adorable.
And they did that on the last car ride, and that was really fun for them to do. I mean, they were like, "Oh my God, Alabama! Can you believe we saw Alabama? Oh my God!" Like
that's a great idea.
They were super excited. So, and then with the songs, something you can do that's fun if you want to like download songs and say you have someone in the cars. One thing we've done occasionally is like we go around in a circle and everybody can choose a song. Like so, like. It ends up being this kind of wild, interesting mix of songs.
That's a great idea.
In a row.
That's a great, yeah.
Okay, so we have given you guys lots of different suggestions and ideas, and I will try to put some of my notes for these into the mindfulmamapodcast.com space for this show. And let's get down to finally, like, you know, some stress. Like, how do we want to deal with some of the stress and some of the challenges of the holidays? And I think that one that we've already kind of underscored a little bit is just slowing down and giving yourself permission to say no to things is really, really important. You know, don't feel like you have to do everything. And, you know, you might have to have some skillful conversations, you know, thank you so very much for this invitation. I really appreciate that. And, right now we have too much on our plate or whatever. Have a conversation where you express your appreciation and then, explain as skillfully as you can that maybe you can't go to that thing. And then another one that I'd like to offer is that idea of kind of, and this is also in that parents.com article, but just resist the urge to be Martha Stewart, right? Like let's let that inner perfectionist kind of let go. The holidays are going to be magical for your kids. There's a magical element to coming together. It's really about that idea of coming together, lighting lights, eating together, and really the idea of you being more just present, you being more relaxed, you being able to sort of slow down and enjoy it. That is a gift to your kids and to your family, much more than making everything perfect, right? It's really about I want you to give out the listener, I want you to have permission, give yourself permission, and know that
Totally.
it really helps everybody when you allow it to be imperfect, have a sense of humor about your imperfection, and that's an incredible example for your kid, and really value just being present and being able to appreciate what is there rather than focusing on the little things that you perceive as wrong or not fully up to.
Yes. And I would like to, yes, 100 times yes to everything you just said, Hunter. And I want to add a few more thoughts and tricks. The idea of giving up on the perfect Christmas actually came up in a movie that's in the theaters right now. It's Bad Moms Christmas.
Oh,
now,
really?
Well, I laughed at this movie, but let me tell you, if you saw the first Bad Moms and you thought it was too crass or too wildly inappropriate, don't go see this one, because it takes crass and crude and inappropriate to new levels that I was even like cringing in my seat, like, I can't believe they're showing that. So if the crass and stuff doesn't work for you, then please don't go to this movie. But if you thought the first Bad Moms was funny, this one's funny, and it tackles the relationships between the adult mothers of the first movie and their mothers. So it's kind of about the mom-grandma dynamic. And part of it is, one woman really trying to let go of the perfection. So that's one thing, that if you're looking for a girls' night out and you're okay with some like wildly inappropriate stuff. But in terms of for your family, one of the things that comes up with a lot of the parents I work with is how disrupted our family routines can get during the holidays and how hard that can be. Like, if you're traveling or if you have guests in your home, how much do you just sort of let things go, and how much do you toe the line on what your kids eat and how much screen time they get and when they go to bed? And here's what I say to parents, like, you can't keep the perfect routine. Part of what makes the holidays fun and crazy making is that, we do get to try different things and do different things and maybe stay up late with your cousins. And you don't want to drive yourself crazy just being an enforcer the whole time. But what I will say is, you need to figure out what your family's showstoppers are and respect those. And here's what I mean. This is the basic self-care stuff that each person in your family needs so they can function. So I have one kid who just requires a tremendous amount of sleep or she's a mess. I have another kid who is a total sugar addict. And if I let her have too much sugar, she like totally falls apart. And so I know that I really can't be flexible on the sleep with that one kid. And she can eat whatever she wants. She can watch as much TV as she wants, and she's fine. But the sleep sends her over the edge. And then this other kid, if she doesn't get enough sleep, she's okay. And, again, other things I can be flexible about. And I know for me, well, it's everything. I'm a delicate flower these days. But I know that if I don't get enough sleep, and if I go overboard on the caffeine, I'll get too cranky. So just like as you're traveling or having guests in your home, really try to think for a minute about what you can be flexible on and what you really need to toe the line on. And it will make things easier. And then for those of you, this is the last thing I'm going to say, who are heading into a family dynamic where it's going to make you crazy, where you're going to see relatives you don't see the rest of the year, and they're going to say inappropriate things or do things that drive you nuts. There is a game that's sort of a classic in the therapy circles called Dysfunctional Family Bingo. And if you Google it, just Google it, and you will find a lot of options. But the idea is, the basic idea ahead of it, underlying it, is that if you are ready. If you anticipate that your uncle's going to make a racist comment, or there's going to be a fight over politics, or your aunt's going to nag the crap out of you about something, or whatever it is, that if you anticipate it, then when it happens, you're like, oh, look at that. I thought it was going to happen, and it happened. Oh, well, it kind of takes some of the pressure away from the situation. And a way that people try to make this fun is you can actually print out these blank bingo cards and like fill in each box with all of the sort of crazy things you think might happen. And then, you can play it with different family members. You want to be careful because we really don't want to offend people. So please, be thoughtful about how you do this. And when you fill up your bingo card, you win. I mean, you sort of lose because all this stuff happened, but you win. But the whole idea is
bring a sense of humor.
Try to be funny about it, and remember that it's, it just is what it is, and it'll pass, and try not to get too swept up in these old family dynamics. So that's just a way to give you a little distance and perspective. So again, if this sounds interesting, you can Google dysfunctional family bingo and you'll find a lot of stuff.
Okay, so I just did. I just Googled dysfunctional family bingo, and this is totally cracking me up because it's like, brother sneaks outside to smoke a joint. Dirty looks between your mom and your uncle. Someone crying in the bathroom. Curse words said in front of a child. Someone saying, "Are you sure you want to eat that?" Oh my God! Yes, let's look at this pitiful, sad state of family affairs, and yes, let's have some a sense of humor about it. A little bit of macabre humor about it, I think, really helps us get some perspective, and I think that's hilarious. I have never heard of that, Carla. Thank you so much for pointing
to one social workers
family.
And if I could just add. And along the same lines, I'm going to add one more brief thought. Please pay attention to how social media is impacting your mood over the holidays, because the holidays are a hard time for so many of us because of loss or divorce or financial stress or employment stress or family dynamics. And if you are logging onto social media and all you're seeing are pictures of perfect families and beautiful Christmas trees and piles of presents that you can't afford, or whatever it is that's triggering you, please take some time to stay off social media and give yourself a break, because what you need to remember is that the holidays can be a truly challenging time for all of us, but what people choose to put online isn't necessarily reality. And so if your time on social media makes you feel supported and connected, then by all means, knock yourself out. But just notice. And if it's making you feel, less than or inadequate or crazy or stressed or anxious, shut it down. You don't need to be on it for a few weeks.
Yeah. I think this is when we want to be really, we want to practice that self-awareness and notice, notice when we're starting to get triggered or we're starting to get stressed before it gets to a head. And when we notice it, start to acknowledge it, oh, wow, that didn't feel great when I heard, Uncle so-and-so say that, and just kind of offer to yourself that compassion. This families, it can be hard because people have suffering, and that, reverberates it, with us. And I think it can be really hard to do. And it's sort of higher, it's kind of like Zen mama level stuff. But if you can, practice to see that, when people are acting badly, they're feeling badly, and kind of notice that, the unskillful things people say come from a place of suffering. And, I have to really practice this in my own family, and I have to be really practical and notice that, this number of days feels great for me to visit, and this number of days is too many. So I'm going to practice to limit the number of days, and to practice also, for me, it's really important for me to keep my mindfulness practice to a certain degree. And it's really important for me. Some of my kind of not essentials are, I try to not go crazy, not eat too much sugar because it makes me feel horrible, and just, yucky inside. And then also one of the things I need to practice is if I don't, I sit in meditation most mornings, and if I'm visiting my family, I don't necessarily have the space to do that. But what I do is, when I have a space, I take it. If I wake up and they're not awake yet, or if I go downstairs and everybody's there, I'll go upstairs and I'll just take a moment to sit for 5 minutes, because I know that's really grounding for me. And then the other essential for me, I know, is to go have some time away from like the bubble of, the house and the closed windows and everybody together, and go for a walk, really walking, or like for me, going for a run, getting out in nature, getting some time, if you can possibly, like in the sun and in nature, I think is that's a really important to kind of just keep tabs on for you. What is, what are the essentials that you really want to hang on to? Like Carla was saying, like what are the family rhythms and the rhythms that are essential for you and for your kids? Like maybe it's that nap time or whatever it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then are there any ways, I love the idea of ending with this, like are there any ways that you do, Carla, to help make the holidays a little more sacred and a little less, less commercial, and to have those sort of quieter, more sacred moments? What are those moments for you and your family, Carla?
I think for us, it's twofold, and it all revolves really around reading. And so one is that during the holidays, I really try to use that extra time we have together to dive into a big book with the girls. So right now we're reading Wonder, which is amazing. And I'm going to find, so it's a movie out right now, and it's becoming, it was incredibly popular, and it's gaining in popularity again because a big movie with like Julia Roberts and stuff. And it's a delightful story about a boy with a facial deformity and going to school for the first time. And so, and we'll find another big book to read together over the holidays. And then we also just read a lot of stories about Hanukkah, which, helps us feel connected to the holiday and to our culture and our faith. So for us, I think, for me, I don't do a lot of decorating. My husband does the cooking. I'm not into that stuff, but I love reading with my kids. And so we just go to the library and get a ton of books and spend a lot of time reading. And that, it's nothing fancy. It's nothing expensive. It's not particularly special, except that it's special for us. So our main ways of kind of slowing down and reconnecting really happens through reading books together for our family. And my husband makes donuts. He makes donuts at home. He just makes them in our house, and we eat them, and that's amazing. But I can't take credit for that other than the eating. Yeah, for Hanukkah it's a thing, and he makes them, and they're incredible. But that's my husband's contribution, which is an amazing one.
Nice.
And what do you do?
We read too. We really like reading. I loved The Night Before Christmas. That's such a wonderful poem and story. It's really, really great. I really love the time when we decorate the tree, and what's so nice about that for us is that we, it's just, there's all these memories, there's all these ornaments with pictures on them, and you made that when you were this old, and look, isn't that funny, and those kind of things. And some things we've done over the years, which is kind of neat. Now this year it's it's pretty warm in December, but we had one year, it was so cool. So we have just a walk from our house. It's maybe about, I don't know, the equivalent of 3 or 4 blocks from our house. But there's a little bit of woods, and there's a little path through the woods that we walk to get to this, a little farm. It's like they sell produce and they sell Christmas trees. And
I love that.
One year we had a huge snow, and we were actually able to, we were like, we're all snowed in. So what we did is we took our sleds and we walked to Marini's, and we got a Christmas tree, and then we pulled it back through the woods on a sled. It was
That's so amazing.
Yeah, it was super cool. So we were able to do that. I don't know if we're going to be able to do that this year, but part of it is we decorate, I cut down, this is the time of year I trim my evergreen trees, and I stick them in my planter pots, and we, I think just decorating the tree is part of it for us, and then reading those stories, and, spending some time when it's dark, just having time together, hanging out in the house, and lighting candles. That's makes things sort of quiet and sacred. And that's kind of, I think, a nice way to bring some sense of quiet and sacred, because it really is about, this is the darkest time of year. Let us bring light into this time to lighten the darkness, right? I really think that it comes back to that for all of these traditions ultimately.
I love that. And, we do light candles every night of Hanukkah on our Hanukkah, our menorah. But I didn't actually include that in sort of our sacred moments, because in all honesty, some nights it's like a nap. I've got a girl who's like crying because she didn't get to light the first candle. And I've got another girl who's crying because we're using our sister's menorah. We don't have enough candles for both menorahs. And so, like, in all honesty, sometimes it is this like beautiful sacred moment where we say our prayers and we kind of notice and be with the candles. And sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, should we just get through this, get to bedtime? So
Yes.
Just pulling back the curtain and being real. But, it is something we do for all the nights of Hanukkah.
Yes. Yes. Well, cool. Well, I hope this, thank you, Carla, for coming on. And this has been, I knew we would have like a ton of ideas and things to share. So I hope some of these ideas have resonated with you, the listener, and maybe Carla, I'll give you a chance to, think about what you might want our listeners' takeaway for this to be. But for me, my takeaway for you, the listener, is to just be intentional about the holidays. Don't just get swept up because we always do it this way. Kind of take a moment to think about what serves you and what doesn't serve you, what feels good and what doesn't feel good, and give yourself permission to make some changes and offer up, what do we want to hold on to? What do we want to let go of? How can we create some space? And how can what we do in this time reflect what's really important to us? So I think that is what I'm hoping that your takeaway is, for listening here. And Carla, do you have any last thoughts you want to offer?
I do. I hope that all of us, and you included, Hunter, and me, and all of our listeners can find just a lot of compassion for ourselves during this holiday season, because we all go into it with aspirations that maybe don't work out, or plans that go astray, or going into it knowing we're going to have a hard time for a variety of reasons, that, the holidays can bring up painful memories or whatever is happening for folks. And really just remembering to be really kind to yourself in the thoughts you think and in the way you treat your bodies and treat your family, and just hold a lot of compassion and love and forgiveness for ourselves and our family members as we move through this season. That's kind of my wish for all of us.
That's beautiful. That's perfect. Thank you so much, Carla, for coming on. I really appreciate it. You guys can find Carla at carlanaumburg.com, right? And
Yep.
yeah, awesome. Thank you, Carla.
Thank you, Hunter. Happy holidays.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Mindful Mama podcast. I hope you got a lot out of it. Don't forget, you can go to mindfulmamapodcast.com and find the notes. So if you are wondering about all those resources we mentioned, you can find that in the notes for this podcast. And if you have any questions, you can absolutely email me, Hunter at mindfulmamamentor.com. That's mindful with one L, mama, M-A-M-A, mentor.com. I just want to give you a quick reminder that I am taking applications for my Mindful Mama Transformation Group coaching group. It's a sisterhood, really small group, lots of personalized attention, lots of one-on-one attention to your specific challenges and needs and problems, and the accountability and the support that you need to really make a powerful shift and transformation in your life. So if you are feeling irritable, you're feeling overwhelmed, and you know where you want to go, but you just don't seem to be able to make it there on your own, it's really a powerful experience to invest in your own transformation, and changes everything in your life. The changes that have been made, you can go ahead and watch videos of stories of people who have been through the program. When you fill out that application, you and I will get on the phone, we'll talk about it. And this is the time of year to do it, right? Like, we want to lock in those 2017 prices, because actually the coaching group tuition will be going up in 2018. So I invite you to apply and join now, or apply for one-on-one coaching, you can check that out as well. And if you're not sure, just email me, ask me some questions, and we'll just talk about it. hunter@mindfulmamamentor.com. And coming up, we have some really exciting podcasts for you in December. I'm really excited to talk to John Vroman of the Front Row Foundation. And that's it then. So I'm wishing you a really, really beautiful week, sending you lots of love, wishing you some peace in the holidays and a sense of humor as you go through it. Have a great week. Namaste.
You're making me laugh and cry. All right. Okay.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
Ready. Okay. All right.